Hello, I'm Joseph, and this is the Anycubic Kobra S1. Now, I have Kobra products in the past, or Anycubic products in the past. This is their Kobra Go. I have a couple of these. I have a Kobra Neo, a couple of the resin printers. I buy their printers from the refurbished eBay store. So this is actually a refurbished unit, but it has been working really, really good. This is probably the best printer I have used. Oh, this is like I'm comparing this over the Bamboo P1P, the Bamboo A1. This was just an easy setup. The software is simple. It's no brainer. The presets they have for 0.4 nozzle is great. If you don't change any of this stuff, you're going to be really good with the Anycubic Slicer Next software. Their cloud works great. I've had some issues with the local print stuff, but beyond that, this has just been a phenomenally great getting starting. Very minimal things that you need to do. There is one major thing I will talk about, but one more other thing I do need to speak about before I get into the cons is just the sheer print quality of this, which is why I'm baffled on the price point for this. So this is a case I have for some batteries that I have. This is from Fura. This is a client I do work for, programming work, not design work or anything. And it kind of just slots in because it doesn't have a stand, and you can put your cell phone on here and mount it. So if I go ahead and just put that on, then we have that, and it also sits sideways as well. I'm tweaking the design a little bit so it can have a little bit of a tilt, but yeah, it works really, really good. Be able to print this. Now this is not just PLA. This is actually from eSun ABS Plus filament. This is their ABS style filament or stuff. This is an overhang, but the rest of this quality, just look at this, is crazy, crazy good. You can see the seams on the inside here, but it just looks so good. I'm very, very happy with how this came out. It looks really, really good to me. It just blows my mind for the price. To give you an example, I have another one here. This is from another XY Core XY enclosed 3D printer. This one's from Kingroo, their KLP1, and you can see like it had issues with overhangs. It was still a really good print, but just then the seams would be pretty atrocious when it's printing, and just the quality difference and very little price difference. And the fact that it already has an auxiliary fan for extra cooling, that's what you see here. It has a webcam built in. It has the light coming down. Like, it has all the mods you would need to do. There's not much you would need to do other than print maybe like a little poop holder thing in the back. And then I have a little mod up here to help it prop up. This way, if you're venting out PLA stuff or PETG, you can do that. But there's nothing else I've really done other than maybe the USB thing here to cover it. But it's just like, it's good to go. 15 minutes, you have this up and running. Another 20 minutes for a one button configuration. So like, for example, they have something, was it in set or calibration? And in calibrations, they have a one button full calibration. Takes 20 minutes. Everything's all set up. It does all the PID calibration, input shaping, auto leveling, and in the software you can trigger any one of these to do that before you print. And so when I'm changing out filaments, when I'm moving the printer around, I'll enable input shaping and input shaping or a resonance compensation, and also the pressure flow. So just crazy, crazy good. Now, with that said, there is a couple of things I do want to bring up because it's not a perfect printer. Bed adhesion, initial bed adhesion, initial first layers, they're not great on this printer. There's been a long issue with Anycubic. They make some weird choices, and this is their almost perfect printer. But you can kind of see here the issues I have, where there's just not enough squish on certain parts of the bed. And the general issue is that they're using a probe that is force or pressure based. So it hits against this bed here, which is incredibly coarse. So you can imagine if it's just, bouncing around here, touching this is not going to give you an accurate bed level measurement. Everything's going to be all over the place. And so what I ended up doing was, this is from Doug Does, a YouTuber that has his printer as well. He recommended just go to Anycubic Slicer Next software or Orca Slicer. Those are both almost the same. And in your printer configuration, change the Z offset. And I found that 0.08, sorry, negative 0.08 does the trick. And so I now have perfect first layers here where I can get everything to come out just at it really, really clean. It's just crazy how good this is. And this bit here, you see, this is because it's printing over this bit here. So all this little indent, this little white line with the text on it, prints on top of my white sheet, or this sheet here. You can see it a little bit better on this side here, so you can kind of see the text of it go through. Kind of funny, but that says double. But yeah, I like it. It's just a perfect first layer, so I'm very happy now. Now there was one more thing I did have to do for this though. It did have screws, or these do have screws that you can adjust. So I did make an adjustment to the bottom right screw, about like 12 degrees counterclockwise, and it fixed that. Now, unfortunately, to get to that point, it does take some effort on your part printing these sheets. I had about 5 sheets I printed in total before I found my good perfect Z offset or negative Z offset, and then which side was the problem in adjusting and doing one more print for that. Now there is a community-driven open source software to put pure clipper on this that you can do screw tilt offset. Basically, you define the 4 screws. The print head will probe each of these, and it'll tell you, hey, your back left, turn it 12 degrees clockwise, or your back right, turn it 15 degrees counterclockwise. And it's very accurate. The problem is if it's probing against this bed here, this bed type, this bed build plate, you're gonna have a very difficult time getting accurate numbers, and you're better off doing a smooth sheet PEI, which they do sell. They sell a different version of this build sheet that isn't double-sided, with both rough sides. But that was, it's a major talking point because this is going to be the first thing. You're going to have these tall prints. They're going to be falling off the bed. You're going to add a brim, more brim layers or brim lines from 5, 10, 15, 20. It doesn't matter how many you add because none of them are holding well. You got to start to add a glue stick, and all of that just change the Z offset for your nozzle. The other thing I have to talk about is the decision to put, this is not the stock print head here. It's their decision to go ahead and put in a nozzle and throat and heater block that requires a PTFE tube. If you're printing in hotter temperatures, this is closed up. You're going to get heat creep, and PTFE does a really good job at preventing that, but it's something that's going to wear down and is not great if it does start to break down and you're in the room and you're also printing with ABS. So I switched out to a bimetal or all metal Hotend, or I guess like the nozzle configuration bit. This is another little thing when you're replacing that nozzle, even though it's like a quick release system, which I do like. You have to have you got to position the print head in the middle. You have to heat it up and remove the filament, and then you have to make sure the bed's lowered enough so you can pull down the thing. I wish in their UI there was a way to do like a nozzle change, like there is to do the filament stuff. So there's not even like filament change; it's just extract and retract. I wish it was like a filament, a little text or saying like filament change or something like that. But if there was just another button for the print or nozzle part, that would be great. But yeah, I changed this out almost immediately, and I'm not having any issues with clogging or anything else like that. But I do live in a pretty um, dry area, and it's not that hot. If you are in a very hot area, you may have issues with going to this route, and some other stuff. Now they do sell nozzles and stuff, but the problem is Anycubic has a long history of gluing their nozzles into the heater block, so you have to you don't have any good way to really replace the nozzles out of this unless you heat it up to a certain temperature and you have a good set of tools to go ahead and rip out or just break the glue on the nozzle to get it out of the heat block. The other thing is this carbon thing here. I was hoping this would help with the smell when I'm printing the ABS. It doesn't do a very good job. The amount of ABS that I smell or ASA is the same, and the enclosure is actually really tight. There's this padding here; it closes up really well. The top here closes up really well as well, but it's still a very strong smell. So I don't think that filter really does much of anything to really filter out the air that's coming out from this printer when you're printing out the a bit more toxic stuff that that you have available like ABS and ASA. One last thing I want to bring up for kind of like a little bit of a con is that their network printing. So you can choose to go through their cloud system, Anycubic cloud printing, which gives you access to your camera remotely, which is kind of cool. and you can, pause print. You can print directly from the Anycubic mobile app, which is kind of like a poop storm. If you try to reset your password, that just keeps crashing for me. But it still works. And I think the Anycubic Cloud feature is really cool. The problem is, I know that's not going to be free. You're uploading stuff to their their clouds provider to then download to this printer. The video stream is also something that I know is not free for Anycubic to provide to their customers. So I'm assuming at some point they're going to make this a paid subscription to be able to do cloud networking features, which then you can just fall back to LAN mode. The problem is I have a multi-subnet network, so like 208.56.66. Dot 3, dot 4, dot 5, and if you're on the wrong subnet mask that your computer's on versus what the printer's on, you have LAN mode turned on. Anycubic and Slicer Next doesn't see this printer at all. And I don't know how to fix that because I have it on both Wi-Fi and plugged in through the Ethernet or the LAN port, and it just still can't. It doesn't work. I have to go with like Wi-Fi only or LAN only for the stuff to kind of pick up, and it's just not ideal for LAN mode to work for me because I have a multi-subnet networking situation where it just can't find it. Can't find this printer on the network. But that'll leave you from having to use their cloud software or their cloud account to go ahead and log into this. Beyond that, I have nothing else to really say bad about this. Yes, the spool holders in the back. Yes, you can print a little top mounted or right mounted thing. I haven't needed to print much of any type of mods for this because it just all works great out of the box. The one thing I will mark is because I have a 0.6 nozzle in here, I'm kind of like SOL for any type of filaments other than PLA. Because they don't have any profiles for PLA in the Anycubic Kobra or Anycubic Slicer Next software. They only have 0.4 with a bunch of filaments from Anycubic, but 0.6 you're just kind of on your own. 0.8 you're kind of on your own. You need to put in your own ABS plus, any type of TPU or any of those settings. They're just not there for the other bigger nozzles that they don't even sell yet. You have to get them third party. So that's it. Other than that, this is just a really, really well valued. This is something that I would absolutely see running in a print farm. Oh, and one more other thing I'll talk about for like a cool feature. When you're printing, you have the ability to go from like regular to quiet and to like sports mode. Um, the quiet mode I like a lot. It adds in like 50% more print time, uh, but I don't mind it. You can have this next to you when you're sleeping, and it's so much more quieter than every other printer I've used if it's been a Core XY enclosed printer. Now I say so much more quiet. It's still loud, but if you have like a fan that you have in your room that's blowing, this is much quieter than that fan. So I have a fan over there in the corner that is much louder than this 3D printer running in quiet mode. And you can get sleep with the fan. You can get sleep with this printer running in quiet mode too. So, and you actually get better first layer out of quiet mode as well. So that's something I could recommend to help you if you're still getting into bad adhesion modes or issues. Just as you're printing, change it to quiet mode, and then after a couple layers, turn it back to standard mode, and it should be able to stick to the bed better that way. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. I am getting their combo kit, which I'll review separately. Their Ace, and the only reason I was getting it separately is I didn't think I would want it. I already have seen all the reviews of the combo together, and it's not ideal. I best it's a filament dryer, but for the price I got it for um, the Ace Pro, it's a 4-slot filament dryer plus a rollover system for filament, so you can do large prints in your 250 by 250 by 250 cube print volume and just go through old filaments as you need to, doing test prints and everything else. Like I just don't have to worry about anymore. Oh, I only have like maybe 100 meters left on this one filament, and it's a 200-meter print, and I don't feel like doing the filament run out sensor run around stuff. So I'll have a separate video for that, but I think by itself, without the combo, this is an extremely well valued printer. Extremely happy with the print quality coming out of this, and I've had 0 failed prints, minus one that was a tangled filament spool in the back.